The boarding gate was buzzing with chatter and the usual chaos of a busy airport. Families shuffled nervously with children tugging at their sleeves, businessmen barked into phones, and tired travelers just wanted to get to their seats. Among them stood Michael Carter, a tall, confident black man in his early 40s, impeccably dressed in a navy blue tailored suit. His calm presence stood out, but his eyes told a different story: years of battles fought silently, years of proving himself in a world that constantly doubted him. Michael wasn't just another passenger. He was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech company, a man who had built his empire from nothing. Today, he was heading to New York for an important conference, where he would be delivering the keynote speech to some of the biggest names in the industry. But what happened before he even boarded the plane would shake the entire airline staff and teach everyone a lesson they wouldn't forget. The hook, the denial. "Excuse me, sir," the airline attendant said, blocking Michael's way at the gate. "First-class boarding is for our premium passengers only. You'll need to wait until your group is called." Michael raised an eyebrow, confusion flashing across his face. "I am a first-class passenger," he replied, handing over his boarding pass. The attendant barely glanced at the ticket before smirking. "Sir, this section is reserved. Please don't cause a scene. Economy will board later." A couple of people standing nearby glanced over, curious. Michael's jaw tightened. He had faced moments like this before, moments where his skin color spoke louder than his accomplishments, where prejudice stood taller than his achievements. He tried again, his voice calm but firm. "Ma'am, if you actually scan the boarding pass, you'll see my seat is 2A first class." The attendant sighed dramatically, as though Michael was wasting her time. Finally, she scanned the ticket. The scanner beeped green. "First class confirmed." Her face turned pale. But instead of apologizing, she forced a fake smile. "Ah, looks like there was some confusion. Please, proceed." Michael looked at her for a long moment, his piercing eyes searching for something: remorse, decency, humanity. He found none. Without another word, he walked past, holding his head high. But the wound was there. The humiliation, subtle yet sharp, gnawed at him. Inside the plane, Michael settled into his seat, placing his leather briefcase beside him. He could feel the eyes of some passengers on him, whispers carrying like smoke in the air. A businessman 2 rows back muttered, "Probably upgraded at the last minute." Another added, "Doesn't look like first class to me." Michael had learned to ignore such comments. Success hadn't erased the stereotypes, it had only magnified them. Still, he reminded himself why he was here: the conference, the speech, the impact he was about to make. But fate had other plans. 45 minutes later, chaos erupts. The plane had taken off smoothly, but about 45 minutes into the flight, a commotion started near the back. A passenger had collapsed. Panic spread quickly. Flight attendants rushed to the scene, but their voices betrayed their fear. "Is there a doctor on board?" one shouted desperately. The cabin filled with murmurs, panic, and the sound of a woman crying. The man who had collapsed wasn't breathing properly. His lips were turning blue. Michael unbuckled his seatbelt. He wasn't a doctor, but his company had recently partnered with a medical tech firm, and he had undergone advanced CPR and emergency response training himself. He had also donated millions to healthcare research. He knew time was precious. He quickly approached the scene. "I'm trained in CPR and emergency response, let me help until a doctor arrives," he said firmly. The same flight attendant who had doubted him earlier stared, wide-eyed. "Sir, please, this is serious. Maybe you should." But Michael was already on his knees beside the unconscious man. Calmly, he checked the airway, began chest compressions, and directed others to assist. His authority, his presence, and his steady voice cut through the panic like a knife. "Call for the medical kit. Get oxygen here, now," he barked. Passengers looked on in shock. The man's wife clutched her chest, whispering prayers. For tense minutes, Michael worked relentlessly, sweat dripping down his forehead. Finally, the man gasped, a ragged, desperate breath filling his lungs. The crowd erupted in relief. The flight attendant stared at Michael with newfound respect, while the wife sobbed uncontrollably, hugging him and whispering, "You saved my husband's life. God bless you." The truth revealed. When the situation calmed, the captain personally came out to thank Michael. The crew's earlier arrogance crumbled into shame. Passengers whispered not with suspicion now, but with admiration. The flight attendant who had humiliated Michael earlier struggled to meet his eyes. Trembling, she approached him. "Sir, I'm so sorry for earlier. I misjudged you. I didn't know who you were." Michael looked at her, his face calm but firm. "You didn't need to know who I was. Respect shouldn't depend on titles, race, or wealth. Every person deserves dignity. Remember that the next time you look at someone and think they don't belong." The words sank like heavy stones into her chest. Aftermath. When the plane landed, news had already spread. Videos passengers recorded went viral online. Black CEO saves passenger mid-flight after being denied first-class seat. The story became a symbol not just of one man's strength, but of the prejudice that still lingered in places people least expected. Michael didn't bask in the attention. Instead, he used the moment to highlight something bigger. In his keynote speech the next day, he didn't just talk about business or technology. He spoke about humanity, respect, and the silent battles people fight every day. Greatness, he said, standing before thousands, is not measured by where you sit on a plane, or what's printed on your ticket. It's measured by how you treat others, especially when you think no one is watching. The audience gave him a standing ovation. Closing message for viewers. And that's the story of Michael Carter, the man who was denied his seat, but ended up saving a life and teaching an unforgettable lesson about dignity, respect, and kindness. If this story moved you, I want to hear your thoughts. Have you ever faced prejudice, or seen someone underestimated, only to prove everyone wrong? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to read your stories. And remember, on this channel, be kind always, we share stories that remind us of the power of humanity, resilience, and respect. If you believe kindness can change the world, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an inspiring story. Because in the end, no matter who you are, where you come from, or what seat you're in, kindness always takes you first class.